Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about the difference of approaching difficulty or challenge from the head and ego versus the heart. So both can be necessary, but there can be a time when if we're all head focused, that it can do us more harm than good. So how we notice this is that we observe when there's a time in our life that we're facing a challenge or difficulty or the unknown. And when we are approaching it more from head or ego, we're going to be more focused on controlling the situation because there will be a lack of trust. And the control will want to be making sure that we protect the values of the ego. So we will be striving to protect our pride, our image, our status, money, possessions, and this will create a lot of fighting in our being. So we will be grasping on to an expectation of how things should turn out, what we should be experiencing, what we believe the outcome should be to benefit these values of the ego. So self-protect in the kind of values that we talked about earlier. When we shift more to heart, there is way less battle, way less grasping because we have trust. And what we are trusting in is that if we prioritize the values of the heart, that we will be able to make it through anything that we experience. And we trust that if we move through this challenge, prioritizing our true values, our authentic self, that where we end up will be exactly where we need to be. And that it will be our kind of growth journey, our next step on the growth journey. So heart-centered goes through the experience noticing, yes, it's challenging. Yes, this takes a little bit more support. I have to focus. I have to put attention on it. I have to do a lot of self-care through it. But there's also an accompanied peace with it. And the peace is that heart center that looks at it and says, if you're taking care of the heart's values, it will be okay. And that peace that's brought by heart center isn't present if we are only head ego centered. So when we're head ego centered, it's going to be panic and stress and worry because we're trying to control something that we can't really control. And we're trying to guarantee an outcome that serves the ego that we cannot guarantee. So what you'll notice is if you're head and ego centered, you will spend so much time thinking about every scenario, coming up with plans, analyzing, mulling it over, losing sleep because you just can't figure it out. It's like, I want the answer and I can't get there because the mind doesn't use the wisdom of the heart and that which is greater. And the mind can't know, it doesn't hold the knowledge to control all of these things. So it will always feel like it's lacking something, like it's trying so hard to get there, but a piece is missing, or it doesn't know how to resolve all of it, or it doesn't know how to get what it really wants. Whereas the heart knows that it already has what is most necessary, which is that peace and the ability to be loving and compassionate and kind and grounded through anything. So it already has what it knows will really keep us well in this moment. Whereas the mind and ego thinks, I don't have it yet. I have to control everything so that I can get it. So head ego, panicky. Heart brings that trust and that peace through the process. And when we're head and heart, when we're heart focused, we have that ability to observe, to pause, to listen, and to receive wisdom from the world around us. Whereas head and ego is trying to be the smartest, have all the knowledge themselves, use it to control others and the world around them. Whereas the heart is saying, I trust and I can receive that wisdom from the world around me. So when we're shifting from head to heart, we just want to observe, where are the places that I'm trying to control, that I feel a desperate fight to get my way, or to figure out all these options that are going to give me the result that I want. And you just notice, how is that making you feel? And who is that turning you into? Are you able to be peaceful through this process? Are you able to receive? Can you rejuvenate and find calm? And if we notice that, oh my goodness, I can't, I'm losing sleep over this, I'm like totally stressed out, I can't think straight, because everybody knows what that feels like when they're trying to control things that they can't, and it's just so many thoughts are going on, you can't discern one from the other, it all just becomes noise and panic. And we notice that and say, this isn't really serving me all that well. And that's when we drop back down into heart. We come back to our practices. We say, all right, I need to calm down. I need to take some space. I need to take a pause. And we start by just breathing and pausing. Come out of the chaos of that mind space and ego space and control space and just breathe. So can we just pause? And then once we can pause and bring it back down, it's like this focusing of the energy back into center, back into heart. You think if all your weight is up here, right? Like any kind of thing where there's not a lot of grounding below and then it's really heavy above and there's chaos in that heaviness, what does it do to you? It throws you off balance. It throws you from side to side. So you take this imagery of like, I'm going to take that energy and that weight, I'm going to pull it back down inward into my center, into my core. And when we pull it back into the heart in that pause, we remember what's really most important to us. What do we really value most? And this is heart-centered value, not ego-centered value. So heart-centered value says, can I live as my authentic, true self? And that is living in love. Can I find peace here? Can I be compassionate here and kind here? Can I connect here? Can I open up and receive here? And when we do that, we start seeing, wow, the things that really keep me well are present already. And grounding in these are what's going to help me move through this in peace, in trust. So it will be hard, it's still challenging, but I can move through it in trust and in peace, because each step I'm staying aligned with my values, what actually matters here, and that takes care of us on a deeper level versus the head saying, you have to control this, you have to get this, and then you will be well if you make sure it's this outcome. Stressful, right? Because we can't know that we're going to get that outcome. Whereas heart says, you can be okay now. If you find ways to find peace here and now, you will be okay. And if we see that each step of this, we keep prioritizing that compassion, that love, that peace, we will move through this and end up maybe not somewhere that we're certain about or that we can control, but we will still be our heart-centered self when we arrive there. And that's really what keeps us well through this difficult journey. So I invite you all this week, see where you can move from head to heart, even in the little things, like are you controlling, are you trusting? Are you valuing what really matters? Are you valuing something from the ego? Just start noticing how it affects you and switch a little bit over to heart-centered. If you enjoy these talks and would like to join us for a group mindfulness session or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. You can also find my meditations on YouTube and on Insight Timer. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.